Hello, I'm Javier Harkeen, and this is Harking Back, a podcast about the pop culture of a lifetime. Whose life? Mine. I'm going back through every year I've been alive and finding out what was going on in that year. This week we're looking at 2015. I was 33, Annie and I were living in Clapham, and we were having a good time. It was just a nice routine. Like, she was hard at work, I was hard at work. We had friends that still lived there, friends that you don't really see that much anymore as you get older. But it was great. It was the kind of thing of like, on a Tuesday, we just meet our friend group and have some drinks at 5:30, and then before you know it, it's 11:30, and you're like, oh god, we better go home. It was just a nice time before kids, there was a chippy that we'd go to after sometimes. Oh god, this really shows you how degenerate we were. We would, have some drinks, and then they'd be like, oh, does anyone fancy some chips? And we'd go to the chippy, and it was like called Charlie's Fish Bar or something, something equally. Fish Bar just sounds it makes it sound worse than it was. It's just a chippy. Don't call it a fish bar. Anyway, we're in this chippy, and it's late at night. We're all kind of, we've all had a few drinks, and someone walks in, and as they open the door to come in, a pigeon flies into this chippy. And it starts causing chaos. It's like, it's somewhere, and then someone screams, and then the staff are trying to get it. And then the pigeon realizes, oh, they're all screaming about me. And it starts fluttering about everywhere, and it's just causing chaos. And everyone's like, oh, shit. But we're all like, does this mean we don't get chips? But then suddenly, a guy behind the counter, one of the guys, the pigeon flies towards him, and he just plucks it out of the air. He just grabs it like CGI. We all just like, what? Everyone just stopped for a second and just went, way, because he caught this pigeon. And he's there, and like he's got it. And the pigeon's calm in his hands, or like he's got it so that he's holding it like an American football, right? Like the wings are tucked in either because the pigeon's calm or because this guy's holding the wings down. And then we all kind of realize, okay, he's got this pigeon. What are we going to do to get it out of here? And it's one of these places that's quite shallow. So like there's not a lot of space between the counter and the door. And a friend of mine opens the door. And we all kind of look at him like, there's the space. And I swear, he looks at it. We're all looking at him. And we can all see on his face, he's going to throw this pigeon out of here. He's going to throw it out the door. And we're... He does that kind of step. He looks like an American quarterback. I swear to God, he taps the pigeon, leans back, launches the pigeon. The pigeon just kind of torpedoes. It knows it's being thrown. It doesn't try to deploy the wings first. It makes it out the door. It opens its wings, flies out, and everyone loses their minds. But at the same time, then we all thought, okay, is this place covered in pigeon now? But, oh shit, that was great. I'd forgotten all of it. We called him Birdman from there. Every time we'd go out and we, hey, Birdman! Yeah, it was great. I hope he still treasures that moment too. Let's find out what was going on in 2015. Let's look at what's happening here. 2015 was the year of that goddamn dress debate. The color, was it black or blue, or was it white and gold? You remember, it was doing the rounds. Do you remember, I think this was around 2015, maybe 2010 to 2015, was when things that went viral started becoming, part of everyone's day, you turn up and everyone just yeah, I saw the dress. Yes, you couldn't escape it, really. It was the most talked about dress since Gaga's meat monstrosity that she wore. It really, what color was it? To me, it was black and blue. It depends on what light you saw or what photo you saw. Was the whole thing fabricated? Was it a government conspiracy, man? Who gives a shit? But this was a year, you remember the dress, and you tell me in the comments if it was black and blue or white and gold. Also, 2015, David Letterman leaves the Late Show in the US. I thought about that because David Letterman, I think, was the very first thing I talked about on this podcast in the 1982. The very first episode was about David Letterman starting The Late Show. He's succeeded by Stephen Colbert, who I watch almost every day. I do love watching. My lunchtime routine is watching the American talk shows news from the night before, things like The Daily Show and Stephen Colbert. Seth Meyers is third on the list, and if I'm really kind of like, if it's been a juicy news day, I might even watch Jimmy Kimmel. I should try Craig Ferguson. Anyway, Stephen Colbert is my favorite, and I watch it with Annie, and she loves his impressions, and she laughs, especially his Joe Biden. She fucking loses her mind, and I like to see her laugh. This is also the year in 2015 that Leo DiCaprio has a paparazzi photo of him with his stomach hanging out at the beach, and it inspires this dad bod craze. Remember this? The dad bod? First, this photo with Leonardo DiCaprio, I haven't seen this photo in 10 years, and I looked at it, and Jesus Christ, we had high standards. The dude's 40 in this picture, and like his gut is hanging out a tiny bit. A little bit. Like, he's 40 in this picture. I've seen pictures of me when I was 40 at the beach with it all hanging out. And I know because I've asked for those photos to be deleted because I look like a sack of potatoes that's just got out of a sauna. Leo looks great. Trust me, he looks fine. But we had this dad bod craze, which was suddenly it was sexy to have what would they call it, like a softly round body. How the hell did men get away with this one? Like, we didn't get away with it for long. Like, I wish it was still a thing. And honestly, I honestly don't believe that women really found it sexy. Like, I think someone said, like, oh no, I think it's sexy. I think it was like someone just trying to see, like, can I make this thing a thing? And people suddenly went, oh yeah, I think it's sexy too. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. All right. I read one thing. The most plausible thing I found was like that woman found it not intimidating to be next to softly round man. It made them feel like they don't need to be in perfect shape as well. Fine, but I don't think anyone ever craved out like, oh yeah, give me that dad bod. Oh yeah. Anyway, I wish it was still around because my dad bod is strong. My dad bod game is strong, especially after a weekend. In 2015, selfie sticks are everywhere, and God, I hated them with a passion. Just because people just kind of prioritize them over just realizing that other people are around. The amount of times I got almost whacked in the head with a selfie stick. I'm surprised I didn't snap a few over my knee. Hoverboards are also a thing in 2015. Not the cool ones from Back to the Future. More on that later. But the ones that like... They're like a plank with wheels on each side, an electronic plank, and you don't ride it like a skateboard. Like, imagine if you stood on a skateboard, but it went kind of the way you're facing. That's the way hoverboards went. They came out, and I'm amazed we didn't lose half the population of global dads. I tried one for all of 2 minutes. I did that thing of like being on it for 30 seconds, and I went, yeah, I think I got it. And then I fell off it immediately and almost broke my arm. They were fun. Remember when they just started blowing up? I think the batteries in them or something weren't supposed to be... the batteries were never meant to last longer than the fad had been anticipated to last, and they just started randomly bursting into flames. You don't see them anymore. That's a sign they weren't a classic. In TV, this is around the time where streaming really is the way we watch TV. Like, no one's really kind of watching regular TV anymore. Like, the way you watch a series now is you binge it over a weekend. No one watches... like week to week. Daredevil comes out on Netflix, and it was a great tie-in, and it is of a quality that most Disney shows today could only dream of. Let's have a look at games that come out in 2015. The big releases this year are games like Bloodborne, Batman, Arkham Knight. There's innovative, there's also always the same old FIFA, Call of Duty's coming out. But there's innovative original titles like Rocket League, Splatoon, Kerbal Space Program. Halo 5 comes out, which is a huge letdown. Fallout 4 comes out this year, and this is the first Fallout game I've played, and it's incredible. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. Some people shout that New Vegas shits all over this one, but I had a good time playing Fallout 4, so what? By the way, this is the kind of behavior that I think makes gamers the worst, man. Like, when they're like, oh, you enjoyed that one? Well, you're wrong, because this other entry in the franchise, which is the one I like, is the right one. Well, you're both wrong, because you're arguing heatedly about video games. Unlike me right now, who's arguing heatedly with himself. But Fallout 4 comes out, and it's really good. Really good. Again, one of those ones that's like super in-depth. I should go back and play it, because I only played it on my Steam Deck, which is my portable, like, I don't know. I should play it on something that has better graphics, is what I'm saying. But Game of the Year for me is The Witcher 3. The Wild Hunt. I didn't know about the Witcher games or books. I hadn't played the first two Witcher games, nor was I prepared to play through them just to play this one. But I'd heard a lot about this game, and I thought, let's give it a go. And this game invites you in. It holds your hand and takes you to this rich, rich world. I played this last year, and the graphics and the scope for this game from 2015 still hold up better than most games coming out today. I don't think I've played a game with a world that's ever been as rich or as deep and believable as this one in Witcher 3. Like, the cities feel like, oh, there's actual life and people busting about. It feels like you're just wandering around a real city rather than those games where there's just a bunch of static NPCs waiting for you to interact with them. It's really immersive. And I feel the game developers probably had an entire division of like literary scholars of the books, because there is so much detail in this. You could spend weeks reading through the books that you find lying around as you explore the world. I was constantly surprised at how in-depth and comprehensive the side missions were. Like, in one of them, there's like, they produce a play. They put on a play and you're in it. I was like, I just thought I was delivering a message, and now here we are on opening night. What the fuck? The characters are really fleshed out and the voice acting is superb. It might be the only open world game that I've finished and immediately wanted to start again just to see what I'd missed. I did find it hilarious that because it's a medieval fantasy game, they've got British accents, and I found it hilarious that in one of the regions, all the peasants just seem to have Birmingham accents, and I think that's a real is that a real like dig from the developers? Like, they're all right, me lord. It was just, I found it hilarious. My only gripes about this game is that the combat is a bit simple and repetitive. It's 10 years old, and that magic is this vague yet overpowered force that's used constantly in the game, and it just becomes a bit of a deus ex machina. But that didn't ruin the experience, because I came away from that just going like, holy shit, the world of The Witcher is deep, and I want more of it. So much thought is put into this game that I think they were told to just stop jamming information into it. Just release the damn thing already. If you like your swords and fantasy games, this is for you. It's very good. It's very good. Let's look at songs and music in 2015. This is the year that in the halftime Super Bowl show, Katy Perry was singing, and she's got the two sharks behind it. This is the year that hashtag Left Shark went viral. One of the backup dancers dresses a shark just at one point, just doesn't know what they're doing, and they just go, just style it out. No one will notice, and the world noticed. Also in 2015, Taylor Swift wrote an open letter attacking Apple Music for not paying artists. Basically, what happened was you could get Apple Music for a free 90-day trial, but in those 90 days, the musicians who were getting their music used were not being paid for that. And it had such an impact that Apple reversed their policy, and that's enough to make me a Swiftie, even if I hated her music, which I don't. I think it's awesome and amazing when artists reach a level where they can actually stick a middle finger up to the industry and change it to help out everyone below them. Like, that is being a hero in the artist world to me. I wish I could ever reach that goal. I doubt I ever will. But what would I do? I don't know. It's really a shame that you use comedy in this and don't pay comedians. And that's how Harvey Hakeem lost his job. I did not know about this in 2015. I found out that at Coachella, that's how I say it as an old man, Coachella, Madonna was performing with Drake, and in the middle of it, he's sitting down on a chair, and she comes up behind him and just gives him this big kiss, this big pash, and it goes on for too long, and he starts like flailing his arms like he's running out of air, and when she pulls away, he kind of grabs and covers his mouth like he's about to throw up. I did not know this. I did not know about this, and I watched it over and over again. It is so funny, and it's just the hubris that Madonna thinks like, oh yeah, you're so lucky you're being kissed by me, and Drake pulls away just like, ugh. It's like, excuse me, I've got a little bit of a cough. I'm not editing that out. I don't know how to. Like, have you ever had like a friend or a partner and their grandma, when you meet them, she gives you a kiss that's a bit too close to the lips and for too long. It's absolutely that sort of energy. Oh, it's so funny. I really laughed watching it. Hamilton debuts. Hamilton the musical, the phenomenon that is, debuts in 2015. I listened to Hamilton because a lot of people said it was amazing and it was just such a thing. And when something is huge, I feel like I try to get into it. Not everything I can because there's so much out there, but Hamilton was such a force. And I like musicals. I really do. I absolutely do. Some people hate them, and I'm like, why do you hate it? Why do you hate... Do you know the work that goes into a musical? And the actors in musicals, they are working their asses off to sing, dance, act. They are sweating their tits off to do this performance. I find them fantastic. Hamilton debuts. So I listened to Hamilton, and if you are interested in getting to Hamilton, I would recommend that you listen to the music first. You don't have to listen to the whole musical, and get to know a little bit of the lyrics, because I think the real star of Hamilton is the writing. The lyrics, that Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote here, the way he tells a story in rhymes and does all this, it's quite mind-boggling. You won't have seen anything like that, even if you don't like the music that much. And some of the some of the rhymes are contrived, but the way he 99% gets hip hop into this musical, into a story about the founding fathers of the US, it's nuts. It sounds like something that would be a sketch on Saturday Night Live 20 years ago. And then someone went, oh, they made a whole thing out of it, and it's awesome. Well done. The one thing I will say about Hamilton is the first half, way better than the second. Way better overall. And it's too long, and it does not end. It kind of just fizzles out at the end. It ends like another, most other musicals just go, bah, bam, everything's coming back at the end, boom. Hamilton does the opposite. But it's still very good. Top 5 songs in 2015. Number 5 is Sugar by Maroon 5. I did not know this song, and I listened to it, and this song sounds like you took every Maroon 5 and put them in a blender. And this is what you get. At number 4 is Trap Queen by Fetty Wap. I did not know about this song. I listened to it, and this song sounds like you took every R&B song and put them in a blender, and this is what you get. At number 3 is See You Again by Wiz Khalifa feat. Charlie Puth. And this song... did not know about it. This song sounds like you took every hip-hop/piano collaboration and put them in a blender. I am not impressed so far about the top 5, if you can't tell. At number 2 is Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran. Thank God! I love this song. Ed Sheeran, I bet Ed Sheeran can never go enjoy a wedding again, because this song is guaranteed to be played at every goddamn one of them. I really enjoy Ed Sheeran's range in songs, and if all of his songs sounded like this, it wouldn't be as special as it is. But it kind of... I love that Ed Sheeran was just like, yeah, I could do like indie busker rock and, cool, funky little acoustic numbers here. But yeah, I can also... Oh, what do you want? Do you want like an amazing love song? Yeah, I can do that too. I'll bash that out. Here it is. Oh, look at that. Go to number 1. Look at that be played at every wedding. You're welcome. I'm Ed Sheeran. What I love about Ed Sheeran is he went on... he did an interview on a talk show... No, a show where they interview celebrities, and they talked about, what an amazing songwriter he is. He's like, just to show you it takes practice, I've brought along, I found a recording of one of the first songs I wrote. Here it is. And they listened to it, and him and the host both agreed it sucked. And I love that Ed Sheeran was vulnerable enough to just go, yeah, here's some of my early work. It just goes to show you need to practice, people, okay? Okay, talent's only going to take you so far. I mean... I think I found some of my old stand-up clips, and I don't think I'll be showing them to anyone anytime soon. So that's at number 2. I love this song, and I remember dancing at this club in Ibiza with Annie to it. And the singer had this really thick Spanish accent, as he should, because he's in a Spanish country singing a song in a different language. But it was really funny because it was such a well-known song, and he was singing it so sincerely, but like missing the last consonant off every word. He was like, people for love, stereo, but with a really thick Spanish accent. And number 1, Uptown Funk by Mark Ronson feat. Bruno Mars. Did I get that out right? It's Mark Ronson, enunciate half, feat. Bruno Mars. This is a great number 1. You've definitely heard it. It's the perfect storm of a hit. I mean, it's catchy, it makes you want to dance, it's got a charismatically vocalist and a hook that builds up to the chorus that everyone knows, and it brought attention back to Michelle Pfeiffer, who I think has gone unnoticed for decades, and she deserves some recognition. Go Michelle Pfeiffer. Let's look at movies. It's worth noting that 2015 is the year that in Back to the Future 2, that's the year they travel forward to the future. So we're in the future now in 2015, 10 years ago. How does that make you feel? Like we still need real hoverboards? Yeah, where are they? But 2015 is a huge year for movies. Things that come out this year. Huge movies, things like Spectre. James Bond's Spectre. I wanted to love it. What was this? I mean, the opening is the best part. It's stylized. You've got a confident Bond. It nails the action. But then it falls apart, trying to be too clever. I honestly can barely remember anything about this movie, and I love James Bond movies. I don't remember anything about this movie apart from that they squandered Christoph Waltz as the main villain. They brought him in as Blofeld, and he was totally wasted and underused, and this movie, boo, Spectre. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation comes out in 2015, and at this point, the Mission Impossible movies have this, as they carry on to have, they have this weird characteristic of being so homogenized that each one kind of blends into the other. Like, you think of a scene in a Mission Impossible movie, and you're kind of like, was that from Ghost Protocol, or Rogue Nation, or Number 3? So they all kind of blend into each other, yet at the same time, each one of them being a bloody good spy action flick. Any Mission Impossible after Mission Impossible 2 it's pretty damn good. It's pound for pound solid. Is it the best movie you ever watched? No, but are you going to have a good time watching it? Yeah, it's great. They're all really good. Ant-Man also comes out in 2015. We get ourselves a new Marvel hero. Ant-Man always makes me think, like, Edgar Wright was supposed to direct this, and I wish he had. I just wonder what kind of Ant-Man movie would have got, because Edgar Wright's one of my favorite directors. He did Hot Fuzz and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Instead, we got Peyton Reed, who had done Bring It On and Yes Man and The Breakup. And Ant-Man was really fun. There's a bit I always laugh at. There's a bit where Ant-Man has to break into a Avengers facility. And on the radio he goes, "Oh no, there's an Avenger patrolling," and you're like, "Oh my god, Ant-Man's going to have to take on an Avenger. Who's it going to be?" "Oh, it's Falcon. It's fine. He's fine. It's only Falcon." And then, it was kind of like, yeah, we could only afford Falcon for this one. And also, like, Ant-Man goes and beats the crap out of Falcon on his first mission. Anyway, sorry, Falcon. Sorry. This is how big this year is for movies. Let me just pause here because already we've had a James Bond movie, a Mission Impossible movie, and a Marvel movie, and none of those are in the top 5. A James Bond, a Mission Impossible movie, and a new Marvel movie. None of those are in the top 5. That's how big this year is for movies. And you also have other huge movies this year. You've got Kingsman: The Secret Service, which is a better Bond movie than the one we got this year. You got Mad Max: Fury Road, which was everything you wanted from a legacy sequel. This is how you do it. 50 Shades of Grey comes out, and legions of women hit the movies with varying results. Terminator Genesis comes out. This is the one we don't talk about. I mean, we all know that the Terminator movies kind of fell off a cliff. It sucks out. It sucks that the Terminator franchise has about 6 movies and there's only 2 good ones. This is definitely, I think, the worst, if you ask me. It's awful. It's so bad. Just stop messing with the timeline. Stop it. The Hateful Eight. So the new Tarantino movie comes out. Also, none of these are in the top 5, by the way. The Hateful Eight, I find this one quite divisive. I found this movie to be so boring and slow. I think Tarantino just got to that point where he gets so self-indulgent. A bit like, J.K. Rowling writing the last Harry Potter book. It's just like, at this point, a creative, whether they're an author or a director, they just get so big that no one's going to tell them no. No one keeps them honest. They're surrounded by yes people. They're just like, yeah, you're amazing. You're great. Just keep going. And this is what The Hateful Eight is for me. No one telling Quentin Tarantino no. No one telling him, edit this. No one telling him, rewrite this. I watched it once and immediately forgot it. I mean, there's some people that love it. I don't know how. Tell me how you do. That's fine. Hey, but if you love it, good for you. If you enjoyed it, good for you. I am genuinely happy for you. As my old friend Brendan used to say, like, hey, if we both watched a movie, you hated it, I liked it, I won. So good for you if you liked it. I just found it boring as hell. Okay, let's have a look at the top 5 movies of 2015. At number 5 is Minions. They finally get their own movie. The franchise is being milked, but goddamn, they are so lovable, these Minions. Minions are like crack. They make you feel so good, but you can't understand what anyone's really saying, and fun while it is, it's ultimately a bit shallow. At number 4, Avengers Age of Ultron. What's this? A Marvel team-up movie coming in 4th? 4th. All right. By the way, this entry is considered to be the weakest Avengers movie, which I agree, it's the weakest out of the 4, but when people say it sucks, I disagree with that entirely. There are things to love about this movie that you don't get in other Avengers movies. Like, you get to see at the start of the movie, the Avengers in their prime. They're working as a team, just day in, day out missions as a team. Just kind of like, hey, we're the Avengers, we go do this, and we go do it, and we have banter as we do it, and we have a great time, and they're working as a team, and this is the last time you'll see them do it in this movie. Not under duress. Right, just remember that, okay? This is the last time you got to see them as they were supposed to be as a team. Also, what I love is after that mission, you get to see them party. They throw a party. When do you get to see the Avengers just kick back and relax and have a party? And just see them unwind and relax and tell their stories. Like that War Machine story. I love that scene. You also get the scene where all the Avengers try to lift Mjolnir. That was fun. Yeah? Don't get to see that. It was very, very highly amusing and entertaining. Hulkbuster fight. Hulkbuster versus Hulk. How cool was that? We get to see Clint's family for the first time. And the Sokovia battle is so much fun. I mean, the Avengers mowing down the Ultron bots will never get old. It's great to watch. Just let them unleash. And also, Hawkeye gives Scarlet Witch that awesome pep talk where she's arguably the most powerful Avenger. And he's going like, yeah, well, you're going to go out there because I can't babysit you, okay? And I'm going out there with a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense. It's a great entry. It makes Hawkeye really steps up in this film. He's great. So these are my reasons why Avengers Age of Ultron is a damn good movie. I might do a top 5 about it. Okay, what could beat an Avengers movie to only make it come in 4th in this movie of huge blockbusters as it is? At number 3 is Furious 7. The Fast and the Furious franchise is peaking here, going strong. I don't know, they're still making these goddamn things. I stopped watching after number 3. I hear they're driving in space now. I've been trying to work a joke where the punchline is the Fast and the Furious. Stay tuned. I'll get it out there at some point. And who knows? I might try it in new material and then come back and go, no, it never should have done that. Number 2, Jurassic World. So it's the Jurassic Park franchise reboot, new sequel. Not a reboot, it's a legacy sequel, technically. Or is it I don't know. It's a sequel, but with none of the original characters. I can't remember. Anyway, I saw it once. I went to see it in the full cinema, and it was fine. I never saw it again. It was a good popcorn movie. I kind of was sitting there the whole time just going like, oh, I just wish we could have watched Jurassic Park 1. The nanny in this movie, or the babysitter, gets killed in a way that's so gruesome. It's so mean. It's the kind of death only normally reserved for main plotline villains. Like, when all the dinosaurs get loose. What? All the dinosaurs got loose in a Jurassic Park movie? Yeah, they got loose. She gets picked up by a pterodactyl and thrown about the air for a bit. And then she gets chomped by the giant sea dinosaur. And the only crime, as far as I could tell, was being British in an American film. I remember watching it in a full cinema of Brits, and they all were like, oh, that's a bit much. It's a bit much. What'd she do? She didn't do much. Number one, no surprises here. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. I mean, I really loved this film the first time I saw it. I was so hyped to see it. Huge Star Wars fan. I remember I watched the trailer for it over and over again. I remember when the trailer came out like a year before. I was like, oh my God, it's only a year until this movie comes out. I saw it in a full cinema. And we cheered when we saw the Millennium Falcon, and we cheered when we saw Han and Chewie. The junkyard ship chase was exhilarating. We gasped and oohed in all the right places. Sure, it was a narrative rehash of A New Hope, but it was a very fun Star Wars movie. I had so much fun watching it. And unfortunately, the more you analyze it and on subsequent rewatches, I find it less fun. And especially when you know where the sequel movies are going to take these characters. But at the time, it was so full of potential, and it was exciting, and it just felt fantastic to be giddy about Star Wars again. I loved the chemistry between like Finn and Poe and Rey. It was fun. It was great. It had so much potential, and we were just sitting there going, "What?" And all the theorizing of what's going to happen next, and oh God, if we only knew what we were going to get. When I was watching this movie, it's a full movie, midnight release, and the projector, they had a malfunction. It broke or shut down. It stopped working right after Han Solo's death. So he dies. And then the projector stops, and everyone in the theater just went crazy and just like, what? Because for a few seconds we thought it was like an intentional blackout in the movie, and then we realized it's broken, and we were like, no, what? Not now! What the fuck? You can't! And they came, the poor usher having to come in and go, all right, you nerds, sit down, calm down, you fucking nerds, sit down, shut up, listen. Projector's broken. We're going to try and fix it. And we sat there for a couple of minutes, all just going, I can't believe Han Solo's dead. Spoiler alert. And then they said, we're going to move you to another theater. So we all got moved to another theater. We sat down, and they put the movie back on just a couple of minutes before it broke. And so we had to watch Han Solo die twice. And I swear to God, for a split second, as it rewound and we started watching it again, for a split second, I found myself going, maybe he'll survive this time. This might be the most blockbustery top 5 of movies we've had for a long time. All 5 movies pulled in over $1 billion at the worldwide box office, with Star Wars actually taking in over $2 billion. That movie made so much goddamn money. But there are other, the blockbusters are plenty this year. But however, my picks for the year, other great movies, things like Creed. This is how you carry on a franchise. Through a less, a connected character, Apollo Creed's son. It's good. It brings the heart back. You see, they recontextualize Rocky as this mentor and pay him the respect he deserves, unlike they did with someone like Luke Skywalker. Also, The Revenant comes out this year, which is, it's a tough watch, but it's a good watch. I've never felt physically cold watching a movie before. I was watching this and I found myself like, I swear I could almost feel see my breath. I was feeling that cold. The Big Short comes out, which is, I still don't quite understand it, but I love the way they present it and style it, and just, I love that they made this movie. Sicario comes out, if you want a sobering, blunt and visceral movie about US government versus gangsters. Ex Machina comes out in 2015. It's a little kind of indie film that came out with it's got Oscar Isaac in it as well. Oscar Isaac, enunciate half. Oscar Isaac in it as well. And now the AI has taken over. It's this really, I think it's going to be more provoking now because it's this intellectual, almost, it's like a play. It's like a play on film about what is AI, what is human, what is machine. It was really good. It's really good. It's thought-provoking, and it's kind of creepy at some places, but makes you think. One of those questions. How do I feel about that? Thank you for illuminating that in this movie. But my movie of the year for this year is The Martian. Matt Damon is left behind on Mars and has to find a way to survive. Ridley Scott directs this movie that just draws you in from the first 5 minutes and doesn't let you go. Like, this guy, Matt Damon, this just goes from an impossible survival situation to impending doom over and over again, and has to, quote, science the shit out of this to make it. Like, you're rooting for this isolated underdog from the get-go, and it's so satisfying to see him work his way out of certain death Annie and I loved it, and anytime we flick on the movies and it's on there, we're like, yes, it's The Martian! Jeff Daniels plays a great role in this, as does Donald Glover. Oh, and it's got a bunch of actors in there that you'll recognize and go, oh, that guy. And NASA, it keeps cutting between like Matt Damon, like calmly trying to work through his situation using science, knowing that he is moments away from death, and it keeps cutting back to NASA, who are running around like headless chickens going, oh my god, we can't let this guy die. Please. And Matt Damon, I think this was Oscar nomination material at least. He plays this like I say, this underdog, and he's so pragmatic, but like has at the climax of the movie like a glimpse of vulnerability, you know, that you've been kind of really waiting for to round out his character, and it has you cheering and rooting for him. You're glued to the screen at the end of this movie. It builds up so amazingly. Watch it. I told my parents to watch it. I said, have you seen The Martian? They're like, no, we don't really like sci-fi. I was like, no, it's not that. Watch it. And they're like, holy shit, we loved it. Personally, in 2015, I had a great Edinburgh. I've been going to Edinburgh for every year since 2010. So this was my 6th Edinburgh, and I loved this one. This was the one that other ones had been challenging and fulfilling and a grind, and it's sometimes depressing. But this one I loved. I just had a blast at this one. I was doing 2 shows. I was doing Card Ninja, like in the afternoon, and I was also doing my Comedy Death show, which was a show where I interviewed comedians about their worst gigs and their worst times in their career, and it was one of the happiest times I've had on stage. They would come in and we just sit on stools. It was really laid back, and I'd have about maybe 3 comedian guests. And comedians like to come to watch this one because we love hearing about when shit goes badly. It was just stories of people doing gigs in awful situations, and stories of people needing to be like escorted from gigs. They'd gone so badly or pissed off the wrong person. Stories of like, you know, a gay act being accused of being homophobic. A comedian did a gig in a prison. Like, horrendous stories of corporate gigs. Oh my god, especially charity gigs where like the mood can change and you try a joke and you end up just mocking the charity. Stories of people getting punched. Oh, it was great. I just loved it. I would sit there and hear these stories and just laugh my ass off, as did the audience. Like, and the comedians found it to be quite therapeutic. Like, the comedians, they would tell me afterwards, they said, oh my god, that felt like so good, getting those stories off my chest and just laughing about them and talking about them. And what my favorite thing was, you know, comedians would come along with some pre-prepared, you know, I tell them, like, you know, just think about some of your worst deaths. But during the interview, sometimes, and it would happen, it happened maybe about 5 to 10 times over the season. We'd be talking about something, and then a comedian would just go, oh my god, I've just forgotten about a death that I've blocked out. And I'd be like, drop everything, tell me now. And those were always the juiciest. The ones where the brain had gone, don't worry, I'm going to protect you. You're never going to think about this again. And we found we awakened the memory somehow. And it was amazing, because in those moments you could see the comedian like remember it for the first time with you in real time, if you know what I mean. And there was no hiding like the shame or the cringe on their face. Oh, I've often thought about turning this into a podcast and revisiting this, but oh god, I had so much fun doing that. And Card Ninja that year, if you don't know, I've got another show where I throw playing cards as weapons, and it's a comedy show. It's a one-man variety show where I do different tricks of card throwing. And one of the things I would do was I would end the last trial before the finale of the show was throwing a card into a watermelon. And sometimes it would take a few throws, and by a few throws I mean like maybe 30, who knows. But those were great, because the last thing you wanted to do with the watermelon is get the card in on the first throw, because everyone just goes, oh, well done. But if you hurling cards at this melon and they're bouncing off the melon and it's just not going in, people start going, I don't think he can do it. And then you get it in at the 30th. People just go, way, boom, it's huge. like Tim Vine is a famous comedian in the UK. He's got a similar bit in one of his shows. It's called Pen Behind the Ear, where he just stops doing his jokes and he goes, "It's time for pen behind the ear." And he tries to throw a pen up and flick it so it lands behind his ear. And he's got a box of, 20 pens. And he keeps missing. And some get close and the audience go, "Oh, ah!" And when he gets it, the audience goes, "Way!" It's the same mentality. All right? But one day I'm trying to get this card and this watermelon, and it just isn't happening. I don't know what it is. I'm just hoofing cards at this melon, and they're bouncing off, or I'm missing, and I'm down. I go through a pack, and then I go through another pack, and people are they've gone through the, "Oh, I don't think he's going to do it to. Oh, he's going to," and they've gone to a place of like, "What is this now? Is this broken? Is he broken? This isn't how the show is supposed to go." And even the ones who are going like, even the ones that think if this is how the show is supposed to go, he's wasting our time now. This is really annoying. I go through a third pack. I go through a fourth pack. Some people start to leave the show. Some people get up and just leave. And I stop and I go, "Look, if anyone's got," at this point, I'm going crazy. I'm going like, this shouldn't have happened. I'm just staring at this watermelon with like laser beam eyes. And I say to the audience, "Look, if anyone's got to go anywhere, you just go, okay? Because I'm staying here until I get a fucking card and this fucking melon." And some of the audience that's staying behind cheer. I go through another pack. More people leave. Other people are starting to cheer. Some people are just sitting there like not knowing what's going on. Some people are just like losing their minds laughing because this is just so awkward. And I go 15 minutes. I don't know how many packs of cards I went into. I start cutting in to the time of the other guy, the comedian who's supposed to be on after me. I'm cutting into his time slot now because I can see because he's turned up. But he's standing at the back. And I'm looking at him. He's going, "Go! Go!" He's cheering me on. And I throw a card into this melon. It sticks in. I collapse. The crowd that has stayed goes fucking bananas. They go crazy. They're cheering. I jump up and I punch this melon. Like I just put my fist through this melon. The bits of watermelon spray over my technician who's just sitting there going wide-eyed going, "Yes!" It was nuts. There used to be footage of this somewhere, but I think it belonged to my old agent and I think they deleted it. Motherfuckers. I apologize. The first thing I do is I finish the show up and I go and I apologize to the comedian who I've run into his time, and I go, "Let me give you some of my money from my show." And he goes, No. I was actually able to pay him back. His name is Christian Schutterloh. He's a big, tall German. His show was called Attack of the 50-Foot German. And years later, I was able to pay him back because I had a friend asking for they needed a comedian in Germany at short notice, and they went, "You don't happen to know any German comedians in Germany right now, do you?" And I went, "Actually, hold the phone." And he ended up getting that corporate gig, and he did so well. They booked him again, and so when I caught up with him in Hungary a couple of years ago, and he was like, "Hey, dude, thanks you so much for the corporate. They used me again," and I knew what the fee was going to be because they'd asked me, and I said I couldn't do it, and then they said, "Can you get a guy in Germany?" And so don't worry, he got paid back. He's fine. He's totally fine with that, but. Oh my God, if I could track down that footage of me taking so long to get this watermelon. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it, guys. Thank you so much for listening. 2015 was a great year. I had a great time. That's just, sometimes you have good times. It's just important to remember those. Thanks for listening. Check out my special if you hadn't already. It's called Difficult First Album. YouTube it, and I will catch you guys next time. See you later. Bye.